All right, hello everybody, and thanks for joining my first ever webinar. So hopefully you'll enjoy this, and we'll be doing many more. What I wanted to talk about tonight was the newest program I'm releasing called the Gauntlet, which is a little bit of a higher frequency program. Um, and just real quickly, what are we going to go over? I just wanted to talk a little bit about what was my thought process in building this program? What exactly is it? How does it differ between the classic programming? I call it, we'll call 1.0. Um, you know, get into some finer detail, a little bit of finer details on the structure of the program, and then do some good Q&A at the end. So, and also we'll cover some. You'll get the option at the end of the webinar to purchase the program, and you'll get a lot of bonuses added in as well. So thanks again for joining. And so how was this program created? Well, my mind never really stops when it comes to training. I'm always trying to think, how can I do this better? How can I do this better? How can I improve? And sometimes it's not that your program B is better than program A. It's just different. And, I think that as you get more and more advanced, you kind of need to put more and more thought into what you're doing. When you're a beginner, you can kind of just get away with, doing the basics, not really going to failure, just learning form. But as you progress through the intermediate and advanced stages, it gets harder and harder to keep growing and getting better. A lot of times we think we had our genetic ceiling and we just can't get any better. But I don't accept that. I just think, well, how can I do things a little differently? And one of the things that's always intrigued me is high frequency programming. For most of my bodybuilding career, I was hit a body part hard once a week kind of guy. Just demolish it, but only train it once a week. I thought that was the way to go. And I did okay, but I for years and years and years, I was really stuck. And if I'm really honest with myself, I didn't really make much progress. And I increased the frequency to a degree, and that's the programs that you've been doing. For those of you that have already done the programs, you'll see that there's pump days that are added in to add extra frequency to those programs, and that really helped spur my progress on. And many of you have told me that it's worked awesome for you as well, and certainly for my pros that I coach, it's worked as well. So I thought, okay, what's something else different I can do now? Now I really want to focus on a couple body parts. So I turned the frequency up even more. But you got to be careful with that. It requires very careful planning. There's a lot of people talking about high frequency training now. There's a lot of research. I believe it came out of one of the Scandinavian countries where it was very successful. And so what I did was, in the models that I saw that I really liked, I tried to emulate them. I thought they were pretty cool. And what they did was they spread out volume, but increased frequency. So if you were, say, training your chest twice a week and you were doing 12 sets per workout, that's 24 sets a week. So what I would do is I'd now break that up into 3 workouts. So you might do 8 sets each workout. So 8 sets on all 3 days, still equaling 24 sets. So I spread the volume out. So now the tricky part of the equation is, how do you manage the intensity? What is your rate of perceived exertion? That's kind of the hot buzzword at all the seminars you go to, is they talk about how hard you should be training, the rate of perceived exertion. And I have my own chart, and it's included in the program, and I'm very specific in the how close to failure I want to get you. I might want to get you to 2 reps within failure, or get you all the way to failure, or even beyond failure. And it's spelled out very clearly. Managing that was the hardest part for me, because you have to back off in some of the workouts. When the body parts that you're hitting 3 times a week, you just can't go to the highest levels of the RPE chart and train like that. If you're only training the body part once a week, you can do that for sure. So that's built into the program, and you'll see exactly the effort that I'm asking for. And again, that was the hardest part for me, was just backing off a little, because those of you that have done my programs know that I like to crank pretty hard. Exercise variance for maximal hypertrophy and longevity. So, one of the really fun things about this as well, and I'll use chest as an example. Let's say you're doing chest Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Saturday, you've only got 1 day of rest until Monday, and Monday, you've only got 1 day of rest until Wednesday. But Wednesday, you've got 2 days of rest. So Wednesday is going to be a little harder than Monday and Saturday. And the nice thing, too, is you can change, for the larger muscle groups in particular, you can change the angle of the exercises. Like, for example, if you really want to focus more on your upper pecs, you could really hammer that on Wednesday. And then maybe on Saturday, you do more of, flat exercises. And then maybe on Monday, you even do just decline work. That's an option. You can do that as well. I did that a little bit in this program, and you'll see it. But you can kind of alter the exercises to do that as well. Your back is another body part that there's just so many different angles you can train it at. This program has a lot of sets for back in it, a lot. There's some times when you're going to open up the workout and just like, man, that's a lot of sets for the week. So my perceived exertion flow chart, just to give you an example, what it looks like. This is what it looks like. And what I consider going to failure is very different than what everybody else considers going to failure. I consider failure when you can't do any more good reps. You might still be able to do some cheat reps, but you can't maintain form. I'm a pretty big stickler with executing with perfect form. In the long run, longevity-wise, it's really going to extend your career. And if you really want to push beyond that, then there's other high-intensity techniques you can use and keep your correct form, as opposed to just automatically doing sloppy reps. There are a few occasions in there where I say you can loosen up your form a little bit on this one, like say a dumbbell side lateral raise for your shoulders. But this is this chart here is what I have built in the program. You can see I actually have an 11, 12, and 13 when you want to really go berserk and go crazy. Okay, so here's what the actual split looked like. You'll notice we got chest on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. You'll notice we got back on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And guess what two body parts improved the most on me this year? It was chest and back. If you wanted to change this, you could do, say, legs on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And you bomb them pretty good on Wednesday, but Saturday and Monday, you'd probably, you're going to pull off of the RPE chart, the RPE down. And then maybe like on a Thursday, you're going to just do your strongest body parts, and maybe that's your chest. So you're only doing it once a week. So you can, this was built on really trying to work a lot of chest and back. So conceptually, just think about what I'm doing here. If you don't really want to do chest and back, you could kind of alter the program to do whatever else you want on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And I got 2 days in here. Friday's an off day, and Sunday, that's your day you go eat donuts with your family or your friends. One of the interesting things too I want to talk about is I don't feel like you can train for an unlimited amount of time with higher frequency. I found that around the 8-week point, some of my body parts, like my chest, started to suffer a little bit. So I pulled back actually to 2 times a week with more of the classic style base workout and pump workout that we've done in the older programs. You might find it at 6 weeks, you get a little tired. You might find it not until week 10 or 11. So there is some experimentation in here that you can do to help you arrive at a conclusion on how long you can go high frequency. Because I really don't think you can go these high frequency programs just straight year round unless you're doing much less exercises, much less volume. Then yeah, you could squat every day and you do all that stuff if that's all you're doing. But remember, our goal is hypertrophy. It's how the muscle looks. Okay, moving on. The main differences between the classic stuff and this stuff It's really just the extra sessions for the weaker body parts and actually lowering the intensity but still covering the volume. You'll notice in the program that I did try to increase the intensity as I went along, but I didn't just dive right into it. I tried to do it very intelligently, and you'll see that built into the program. So who's this for? You know, in my opinion, this is a good program for intermediates and advanced athletes. Beginners, I'm sorry to say, it's probably not for you. You'd probably do well with a much more basic program where you just learn proper form and you just do a good mix of compound movements and isolation movements. You just really try to learn mind to muscle connection. I just don't see this kind of program being an optimal way to start off your lifting career. I guess you could if you wanted, but in my mind, this is more for intermediates and advanced folks. So bonuses, you'll see at the end. We make the program available for purchase, and we add in some bonuses, both of the ebooks I've done, and also some time on the website as well. I do want to point out that when you take the free month on the website, PayPal doesn't give us the option to turn it off. You have to turn it off yourself, which is very easy if you don't want to continue to get billed. So, you're going to find a massive amount of information on the website, a ton of information. Take a look at it. If you feel like you want to remain a member, join the, many people that are members. If not, just go to PayPal and in the search box, type in cancel subscription, and that way you won't be billed. I just wanted to make that clear up front, so you guys didn't think I was trying to hoodwink you and sneaking some extra money out of you being a website member. Although, honestly, I hope you do join the website as a member. Okay. Just real quick here on the member site, a lot of people ask me what exactly is on it. I have, I have a workout of the month, but remember, I've been doing this website for 5-6 years. So there are a lot of workouts on there. There's tons of articles that are very advanced on nutrition and training. I've got contest preps that I've done with clients. Some of the other Mountain Dog coaches, Andrew Barry and some other folks have theirs on there as well, where you can see exactly the diet we've taken people through. I've got some of my pros on here where you can see how I prep the pros for their shows as well, telling you exactly what to do. I've got, I went to Scotland last year, did a seminar for those folks. That's available on here. That's part of the website membership. Dr. Serrano's got a seminar on here. You'll have access to that. And actually this weekend I'm leaving for England and Ireland to do more seminars. So probably in 2 months there's going to be more seminars on here for you to watch what I'm getting ready to do in England and Ireland. So I think for $14.99 that's a it'll be free for you. I think for $14.99 that's a pretty daggone good deal, and in this case you'll be getting it for free. So that's it, and now we'll head into the Q&A portion. Okay, I see some questions coming up here. How is the 4-phase structure into it? Okay, so you're familiar with my programming before. That's what you're going to use on the body parts that are your strong body parts that you're only going to train once a week. Use that classic structure. So in this case, the Thursday workout is hams and quads. I'm only doing the quads once a week in this program. So you would use the classic style, the 4 phases for quads. But you're not going to use that you're not going to use that 4-phase approach for the body parts that you choose to use the high frequency. On the other 2 chest days, are you still using compound movements? That is a fantastic question. I've said a lot in the past that doing too much barbell work beats your shoulders up, and it absolutely does. I pushed the envelope a little bit of that, and I ended up having to get some extra work done on my shoulders. So I would say, like in this split, keep all the barbell work on Wednesday, and then the Saturday and Monday work will be mostly dumbbells and machines. You're pretty awesome no matter what Dave Tate says about you. Well, Dave says the good thing about Dave is he'll just tell me right to my face. Can we do this pre-contest? I just did this pre-contest, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to actually build another one of these coming up when I start training hard again, because I really enjoyed this. How different is this from Creeping Death? Do you still use bands? There's a little bit of band work in this. I would like to actually use more chains and things like that, but the problem is I know you guys don't really have access to that a lot, so I hate to build them into the plans. What I'll typically do is say, if you have chains, use them on this. But there's still a little bit of band work in it. How's this different from Creeping Death? Creeping Death was basically heavy chest work and a little bit of extra back work, but it wasn't what I would call high frequency. Best favorite donut to eat? Probably apple fritters. Actually, probably a Boston cream donut or Bavarian donut. Do you alternate back and chest exercises? Yes, that's the beautiful thing about this too, is you could, and I started to get to this approach, you could train, say, the more your upper chest on, incline movements on Wednesday, for example, and then Saturday you could do more flat exercises, and then Monday you could do more decline exercises. I actually started gravitating toward that in this program, and you'll see it. So yeah, and with your back, there's all kinds of different exercises you can do. So you'd absolutely be rotating things. Intra-workout nutrition is the same. Yes. How would you alter for a natural? I wouldn't alter for a natural. I mean, natural versus enhanced. A lot of people can take all the stuff they want, but they're still going to get really sore. And then I have people who are natural who can recover like machines. So does this mean this is too much for you if you're natural? No, not at all. If you eat like crap and you don't focus on peri-workout nutrition, you're probably not going to recover, and this probably isn't going to work for you. But has to do more with sound nutritional strategy than it does if you're natural or not. Is this program suitable for only 4 days a week training? I haven't done this 4 days a week. I mean, this is 5. I suppose you could take one of these days and split off some body parts, probably your Tuesday or Thursday. I mean, the Tuesday work is basically just hams and glutes. So in this case, you could just, I guess if you're just going to train 4 times, you could just take off the hams and glutes and just do your legs on Thursday, because you are hitting your hams on Thursday. Are all 3 sessions relatively the same? No, this is what I said earlier. One of the sessions is going to be a little bit harder and more intense. That's going to be the session where you have 2 days off. And then you'll train it again, and you'll have 1 day off, and you'll train again, you'll have 1 day off, and then you'll start the rotation over. Would it be wise to make the Wednesday work for alter from incline to flat every other week? Yeah, you can absolutely do that. And I'd love changing the angles of exercises myself. Work for bulk, or is the volume too high? To me, that's a question around nutrition. Bulking, I don't like that word, but bulking to me is more of a function of how many calories you're consuming. And this isn't like a bunch of sets of 25 and 30. I mean, this is 6s, 8s, 10s. This is, I mix my reps up, but this isn't, it's also not doubles and triples. It's not pure strength training, but it's not super high rep training either. This is more, I would say, a mix of classical bodybuilding, the classical bodybuilding reps, which would be 8 to 12. How are you integrating your intra workout with the extra strain on your recovery? Well, what I typically do is I try to find the least amount I can take and still recover. So if it's one of these days that isn't the highest intensity, I might take a little bit less of an intra-workout drink, a little bit smaller post-workout meal. I'm just thinking logically here, no rocket science here. As opposed to the workout that's really, really difficult, that's where you're going to want to increase your intra-workout nutrition, your post-workout nutrition. So just think logically there. Don't make that more complicated than it needs to be. Would volume need to be tweaked for some? Yeah, I mean, it probably will be. Not everybody's the exact same. So you may find you need to do a little more sets. You may find you need to do a little less sets. Let's see, RPE increase each section. Dan, that's a good question. I was slowly building up the RPE as I went. I was trying to figure out how much I could tolerate. So that is exactly what I did. And I definitely found an endpoint where going to failure too often was having a negative result. Again, for me, that was the hardest part of the program. It was learning how to back off. To use this model, you can't go to failure every single, set, every single exercise. It just, as much as I enjoy doing that, it's just too much. When the Kyle, let's see here. Okay. I'm looking through, okay, what's going to be the focus on your next program? Okay, here, I haven't built this yet. I haven't even started it. But what I want to do is make a 12 to 16 week program where I cycle the body parts that are being specialized. So maybe do 4 weeks of, or 4 to 6 weeks of chest and back, and then 4 to 6 weeks of quads. So that is a sneak peek into my mind of what I'm going to do next. I will never stop experimenting. I absolutely enjoy this stuff, so I'm always going to be doing something different. Let's see what else here. There are going to be replays available. I think we're sending out an email that's going to give you the information on this if you want to listen to it again. They are, Matt's telling me they are re-recorded.
We were going to re-record this just because there was some delays and stuff going through each slide. That way you guys can watch John talk without any of the distractions at all. So we'll do a screen share through everything with that, and we'll send you that in an email as well and put that up for you guys to see.
All right. I've done some programs by myself at my own pace. Would you still consider me a beginner? I can't answer that. I don't know how complex the questions or the exercises were. I don't know how hard you push yourself. I don't know if you're talking about 12 weeks or 3 years. That's kind of hard for me to say. I generally think once you train for 2 or 3 years, and if you obviously, you can train wrong for a long time. When I say wrong, I mean horrible form, not executing movements to where you can even feel the target muscles. So once you kind of conquer that stuff, you have pretty good form, pretty good mind-muscle connection. Once you've done that a couple years, to me, you're an intermediate at least. Let's see. All right. Any other questions?
Bonuses. The bonuses would go.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. If you had I'm going to give you another chance here. If I missed your question, just repost it real quick. Are all 3 sessions relatively the same throughout the week, or does RPE? No, I answered that. We do increase the RPE slowly for the high frequency body parts. You just got to be really careful with that, though. That's a double-edged sword for sure. Okay, what else? Can we see slide 23? We've got slide 23 pulled up on here, so we must be doing something wrong if you can't see slide 23. No other questions? I'm more than happy to answer more questions. I'm in no hurry at all. Still doing some self-ART on your off days? I'm not doing ART right now. I love ART, but I'm focusing more on deep tissue work. and it has really paid off, particularly on my back. I think the key is be consistent with it. Don't do it until you feel good and stop. Keep doing it. And you got to have somebody that's really good. What is good? I'd say once they work on you a few times, you actually feel a difference. One of the things that really helps me, like with my back, and it would probably help you with just about any body part, is I have the deep tissue work done the day before I train the body part. So if I'm training back on Wednesday, I'll get deep tissue work done on Tuesday. And then what I found was the movements feel very, very different. You have, your scapular freed up, your subscap is not glued to your serratus, so you get more movement there. Movements just feel different. And it's kind of hard to put into words, but when you feel it, it's pretty awesome. Okay, Eugene, my man, what is your opinion on training twice a day? You could do that if you wanted. If you wanted to break it up, let's say we have on Wednesday, for example, we got chest, triceps, back, biceps, and shoulders. That's a long one. You could break that up. You could do like your chest and triceps in the morning, then do the back, biceps, and shoulders lately, or some kind of permutation of that. I don't see any issues with that at all. Will this program be available to buy anytime soon? Yeah, probably here in about 10 minutes. And do you like using a fast? No, I do not like training fasted. My goal is to get a really good volumized pump, and is one of my goals. And some of these workouts can be kind of long. And I don't typically do well training fasted. Like I don't achieve those results training fasted. Being these workouts are probably longer than a typical. Okay, the whole question didn't come through. Being that these workouts are probably longer than a typical, then the question cut off. But these workouts, some of them are really long. I mean, there's 35 sets, 40 sets, but they're not brutal sets. So you can actually move at a little bit faster pace than usual. But yeah, some of these sets, when you see the volume, you'll be like, oh boy, this is going to take a while. It actually doesn't take any longer than my old programs do, because you don't need as much rest. You're not brutalizing yourself as much. How many years of experience would you say you should have before doing this program? That's kind of hard to say. I think it's more of you're good with executing movements. You can train as often as you want, but if your execution is poor, you can do that. It doesn't matter. You can train the body part once a week or 7 times a week. But if your execution, if you can't feel muscles working, those are issues that have to be addressed. So as long as you are kind of good at training, I would call it, then this is great for you. Okay, I know you can't do high frequency for every body part, but can this program incorporate a leg pump day or no, because you have legs split up already? Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You could take that that Tuesday. I can't see it. But your computer. I want to see that. Yeah, for example, that Tuesday where it's just hams, glutes, abs, and calves, you could absolutely make that a pump day. A day of rest before you hit the hard day. So I wouldn't make the hard day on Tuesday in this split, and then Thursday the pump day, because you probably need a little bit more recovery. And if you just think logically, that applies to any body part that you're trying to do that. That's kind of the classic style that I use. You hit a body part twice a week. One of them is a base workout, and the other one is a pump workout. You just think logically. You just want to have more days of rest after you do the really hard one. The 2-on, 1-off split question, I missed it. I don't know how you do this 2-on, 1-off. It would be, I would have to sit down and think about that, but you'd have to, the days that you train, you'd be doing a lot of sets. You might have to do twice a day training to get the number of sets in. Carb reduction on easier days. Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, days you're not killing yourself and you can reduce carbs a little. That's a pretty safe protocol. Do you alternate back and chest exercises or train one part for all sets? Typically, I don't alternate them, but that is not a bad idea. I do that on occasion. I actually did that yesterday. Okay. How is this different? Okay, the price of the program. This one is tonight. It's 199 bucks. I'll probably keep it there for a little while. Then it'll go up to, I don't know, probably go up to like something like 249. And the bonuses. What I want to do is I've got 2 ebooks out. I want to give you both the ebooks. There's a training one and there's a nutrition one. And I want to give you a month on the website for free. Now, I do want to tell you this. I don't want you to think I'm trying to rope you into a PayPal. PayPal, when you sign up for these website memberships, it'll just keep auto billing you. So just be aware that if you take the free membership for the website for the first month, it'll start billing you for the second month. So you can stop that. It's very easy. You just go to PayPal and in the search box, you just type in cancel subscription. It takes like 2 minutes. But I just want you guys to know that up front, so you know I'm not trying to hoodwink you into the membership. Although I think when you see all the information on there, you will love it. But I just want to be straightforward with you there. I think that's it. Can we do it? Yeah, okay.